Hello and welcome to another episode of Baldur's Gate Enhanced Edition Siege of Dragonspear. This is going to be the start of Chapter 3.
What do you need? I've got this.
So I'm just taking my party and I'm heading back into town. There was a couple of things that I wanted to take into consideration before starting on my journey in this chapter. And since this was going to be a completely different playthrough compared to my last playthrough, my good alignment characters only playthrough, this was going to be a broader playthrough. So instead of bringing Minsc and Dynaheir with me, I was going to bring Edwin with me instead, and also make use of Zan. So I'm just heading over here in the general direction of where Edwin can be found. And here is Zan. I'm just kind of checking him out. He has a really low constitution of 7, but all his other stats are fairly decent, I guess, for a mage. He has the protection from fire of 50. He gets that from his weapon. And he also enjoys a +3 to his Thaco. But his sword counts as a dagger, and he has a proficiency of 1 to his dagger. So all in all, he has a +4 Thaco, which is pretty decent for a mage, a low-level mage. And but after about the 5th or 6th level, he'll start to feel pretty average. So here's Edwin, and I'm just going to pick him up just so that we can do this this Dynaheir thing. The main difference between Minsc and Edwin is that they both have quests that require you to get Dina. Minsc wants you to save Dina, and Edwin wants you to help him kill her. So, but but of course, the way his dialogue works is that if you try to find out why he wants to kill Dina, then he will just walk away, and you won't be able to do the quest. So, so you basically just have to agree to helping him without actually knowing what's happening.
You've got it. Don't worry about me. You want it? You've got it.
Go no further. I require the services of your group.
Yes, they will do nicely.
There is the option of doing it in exchange for money, and what he gives you as a reward is actually worth it. He gives you 500 gold, so there's that too to consider. I can go ahead and accept Edwin in place of Zan, and Zan is I like to call Zan Old Reliable, because you can always count on him to be in the same place after you take care of this Edwin debacle. And when you come back, you need a mage, you can just pick up Zan, and he'll be right there waiting for you.
What is it now?
What do you need? Don't worry about me.
Here's Noober. Yeah, I just hate Noober because he bothers you whenever, as you're walking out of the zone or you come into this part of the zone. Now, every time that you come back to Nashkel, he's always going to be there and asking you stupid questions. So, this is one way you can handle it. You can just walk down here to this remote area of the map, and Noober will follow you over there. And you could just go ahead and select your sword and attack Noober, and it'll and you'll deal. And killing him will just remove that nuisance from the game.
What's your tale?
On this playthrough, I decided to go ahead and just let these dialogue sequences play out. Now, in case if anybody was interested in reading this, know what's going on, or get some sort of idea. I'm always really weary about taking anything that doesn't belong to me in the cities and towns, because it seems like the Flaming Fist is always watching, and they have a habit of just appearing from out of nowhere, just to accuse you of stealing and demanding you pay your fine or go to jail and stuff like that. So taking a look at the map, you can see where all the locations that you can possibly go.
Tell me. Give it to me straight. Don't worry about me.
And so at this part of the game, it seems like for chapters 1 and 2, the game really
You want it? You got it.
hurries you to get down to Nashkel so that you can deal with that situation. And then when you get done with that situation, you come back to Nashkel, and depending on if you pick up Minsc or Edwin, you'll have you'll be pressed for time in order to deal with the Dynaheir situation. And but you actually have a lot more time compared to the Nashkel situation anyway to pick up or to deal with the Dynaheir situation. So so go ahead and take your time and clear out these zones here in the bottom left of the screen, and by the time you get done clearing everything, you should be up at like level 3 and then head over to the Gnoll Stronghold, which is another place where you can gain a considerable amount of experience, relatively speaking, for your level. So and clearing these zones don't have to be such a major chore. You know, you can actually get the I think you can get haste, which is a level 2 spell, mage spell, I think, and you can pick it up at High Hedge from the wizard Thalantir, and you can cast that at least once per day, and so that'll speed up how quickly you can clear the zones that you're working on, because it'll increase your speed and everything. So something to consider.
Your worthless lives end here.
In this zone, you have a Xvart village that you can
My blade will cut you down to size.
grind on for some additional experience, and at first they'll give you 35 experience per kill, so doesn't seem all that significant, but for a level 1, for your level 1 characters, it's actually not bad at all, because if you kill like 10 of these, then that'll be 350 experience, and you'll see that it's actually worth it to spend some time here and just turn it into like your little home, you know, just continually kill Xvarts over and over again.
My blade will cut you down to size.
I've got this.
Because not only do they give you that small amount of experience per kill, but they also provide some gold and some jewels that can be sold. And at your level, you know, you won't have to.
Yep.
You can resurrect if necessary and head back to town and
What do you need?
This will not be a
As
quick
directed
death.
for now.
Tell me. You want it? You've got it.
so, oh yeah. So here's a bear cave,
You want it? You've got it.
My blade will cut you
and
down to
just go in there and kill the bear. This is actually
Can I help you?
going to be worth quite a lot of experience. I think it's like 420 for killing this brown bear, and 650.
Give it to me. I've got
And
it.
you know, it's just it's actually a very easy animal to kill. You know, they're easier than ogres, and worth the same amount of experience.
I care not.
I think it's hilarious how Imoen at the early levels just flies up the levels whenever it seems like she gains levels faster than any other party member. I spent a little time considering what did I want to do with her or play her as, and I realized, well, I don't really need her to be finding traps because I'll just use my priest, who I'm going to pick up here eventually, to find the traps for me, and then using either a mage or my warrior, I'm going to set the traps off. After some protective equipment has been equipped, or some protective spells have been applied. So,
What you want?
not going to use a thief for fighting traps. Instead, I wanted to use a thief for backstabbing, killing enemies. I'll get into that eventually. But one thing I've noticed is that it seems Rasad, who is another NPC, is excellent for that sort of role. So more on that later.
Yes,
for the group.
So here I exited the cave and was going to continue up this path. And while I was trying to kill these two Xvarts, one of them died. I think it was Khalid. So went back and I reloaded. And I think it's important to note that after you have expended all of your spells, and say like you have characters who are 50% dead, then just go ahead and save and rest and
You want it? You've got it.
save again, and then come back and do that same
You
battle.
want
And
it? You've got it.
you'll notice that you'll more than likely perform much better this time around. Here I am going through Xvart village. Again, this is actually my first time. I only went through the right side of the village, but heading left and you'll see that it actually extends quite a bit. And there's plenty of these little blue guys who have a thing for gold and jewelry to go ahead and kill. And
Tell me. You want it? You've got it.
here's the leader of the Xvart village, and he's going to summon a bear that's supposed to kill your party, but it winds up attacking the Xvarts too. But he's not like the bear that was in the cave, who was actually pretty easy to kill. Now this one actually hits pretty hard and has a decent thaco, so...
Give it to me straight. You want it? You've got it.
The AI decides to have Jaheira cast the druid equivalent of the web spell, which is this one shooting up vines out of the ground. And depending on your need, maybe this isn't good enough. I prefer the web spell personally because what it does is that it will hold your all your characters and enemies in place whenever they are affected by web. They won't be able to move at all. But this spell still allows your characters to have movement, but they are stuck in the place they were originally affected.
You have need of me?
Yep, I've done had enough of this.
What do you need? You are so irritating.
Can I help you?
What do you need? Give it to me straight.
Again you disturb me. What is it now? Again you disturb me.
The stone tunnels of the Nashkel mines constrain your dreams tonight. The twisting depths are more a nuisance than claustrophobic now. What with the hidden marauders dead at your feet, deeper you tread, chuckling over your triumph at each body you see, pausing occasionally to wipe your boots clean or check the odd kobold.
Again as directed, for now.
This way. What you want? Yep, I'm gone.
No!
So at this point, I decided to go back through the Xvart village a second time, and in game time it's already been a couple days. So
Tell me, don't worry about me.
You are so irritating.
going through the Xvart village for a second time is just good experience. Going to help your characters get stronger by gaining more levels, stuff like that.
Don't worry about me.
You are what? My actions are yours.
Peter, try to keep up.
Again, as directed, for now.
I get tired of Edwin's attitude because every time you try to tell him to do something, he's always scowling. So as you can see, now the experience gain that I'm getting per Xvart is only like 15, and it's been diminishing with the more that I've been killing him.
Tell me, you want it? You got it. Give it to me straight. What do you need? I've got this.
At this point, I decided to go ahead and head back to the bear cave to see if any new bears are there, since they're worth about 650 experience apiece. They're just super simple bears. They're poo bears. But coming in, and I realized, oh, no bears here. So just gonna.
You want it? You got it.
Explore elsewhere in the zone.
What is it now?
Here I am going back through Xvart Village for a third time. They're still worth 15 experience. So it is something. It's about half as much as it was when I originally came through the first time. So just go ahead and soak it up. It wasn't until about the fourth time through the village that I stopped seeing the Xvarts respawning so quickly. So I guessed it was time to move on. So it was in my travels when I came across this black bear, and I decided to just go ahead and kill it. It'll give me 175 experience. Black bears are really docile. I thought there might have been a way to get through these rocks right here, but apparently that's an impassable cliff. So it was at this point that I realized I was pretty much done with this zone. But I wanted to make one last pass through Xvart village on my way back to that traveling vendor Borda, and just to see if there was anything that he had of redeeming value. There were 3 things that he was selling, so one of them being a scroll of petrification, and then there was a potion, a healing potion, and then there was another scroll. So I wanted to see what all 3 of those things were.
Give it to me straight. Don't worry about me.
What do you need? Disturb me.
Well, after I bought the scroll, the question is who's going to be my willing guinea pig, and I volunteered Edwin, who, upon taking the scroll, was petrified as if he were struck by a Bassilus gaze. So that is another bad thing that Borda has to sell.
What do you need? You want it? You've got it. Don't worry about me.
And this is actually my 6th pass through Xvart village, and it's been a couple of days, and for sure by now, if there would have been any respawning Xvarts, then I would have come across them, but that village has been totally milked. There is nothing else, no other enemies coming from that village. So I'm just moving on to the next zone now.
What is it now?
So this is the point when I'm trying to get Edwin to learn the charm spell, and he just doesn't get it right. I mean, I have him try like 3 times in a row, and he can't learn his charm spell. The reason why the charm spell is so important to me is because it is one of those spells that will really help you out in a pinch and at low levels. Because if you can get an enemy to fail its save roll on the charm spell, and you're coming up against like 7 or 8 monsters, having one of the enemies to be charmed is definitely a game changer. So, and look at that, trying to sleep in Xvart village actually causes some of them to jump you in your sleep, and so that's also an option. Spend a lot of time sleeping around Xvart village. Here's Borda again for the 3rd time. This is when I buy that extra healing potion, and upon using it, I discover that I am cursed with the effects of drunken stupor.
Tell me. Give it to me straight.
So,
What do you need?
what does that mean exactly, to be cursed with drunken stupor? I was looked at my stats, and they're all fine. I'm not taking a negative value to anything, but it just says that I'm intoxicated. So to get that intoxicated off of just 1 beer, kind of makes me wonder how I would have performed in battle, and I wish I tried that, but
You want it? You've got
at the same time, I really didn't wish to spend too much time reloading. So there was Borda again. You know, he's coming around the trees just to say something to me, and finally I just rebuke him, and I just don't buy anything from him. I just tell him he can go and take a long walk off a short pier. Here I am at the map, going to a new zone, the second zone in a series of 3 or 4 zones before I actually reach the Gnoll Stronghold. This is also another really good zone to hit on your way over to the Gnoll Stronghold, because there's a lot of monsters here that will help you to gain levels. And they're the kind of monsters that are melee variety. You're not going to encounter any ranged that can potentially pick off your party members at a distance. And so it just makes for safe and happy travels. Now, this is the point where I come across the madman Brage, and unless if you were, oh yeah, of course, you might have heard of him back at the temple in Nashkel. He is protected by this NPC named Laryssa, who I believe might be like a comrade of hers and possibly a love interest. So depending on what you say to her, she'll either become aggressive or she'll walk away. So going with the second option is going to cause her to become aggressive. And honestly, it doesn't make any sense to go with this option, because Brage is just going to come from behind her while she's attacking you, and he necessarily won't be aggressive. He'll ask you a riddle, and if you answer it correctly, he's going to snap out of his madness. And the answer for this riddle is death. Option 4. So I thought it was strange that even though I answered the riddle correctly, Laryssa was still attacking me as if I was a threat to Brage. This is the part where he's snapped out of the madness, and he's like, oh, this is terrible, horrible, you know, take me back to Nashkel, take me to the temple so that I can receive healing, and here, take this sword, it's no good to me, it's what caused my madness. I went with the second option just to see what would happen, and this is when he attacks me. So it kind of makes sense that if you aggroed Laryssa, that Brage at this point is going to become aggressive towards you and attack your party. But he's extremely strong, and it's not a recommended course to take. The best way to deal with the Brage situation is just to have Laryssa walk away, and then have Brage surrender. So this is how you get Laryssa to walk away. Choose option 1, and then she walks away, and then here comes Brage, and then you choose option 4, death, and then it breaks his curse, and choose option 1, and he'll give you the sword and ask you to take him to Nashkel Temple, where he can answer for his crimes and stuff. And the nice thing is that you don't actually have to walk there. The game will just automatically teleport you there.
Greetings, playthings. Thou hast found me when I alone could not.
Gorion would be proud of your actions.
Can I help you?
Again, you
need
disturb
What do you
me.
need? I've got this. Not me.
So coming back to the zone and heading north of the arrival point, I come across the Gnoll elites and a Flynn, and they're dispatched rather easily.
You want it? You got it.
It's at this point that I come across the larger part of this Gnoll pack, and
Tell me.
the AI tells Jaheira to go ahead and cast the Creepy Vine spell. Still don't know what it's called. And so then I move both of my caster and Imoen, who is acting as my ranger but is also a thief, out, and then one of the gnolls get loose. So I quickly cast Color Spray, and just before it can stick its weapon into Edwin's head, it dies due to the cooperation of all of my members helping each other out.
Again, my actions are yours.
Nature is good as done.
You are my actions are yours. No!
Yeah. As you direct.
Tell me. You want it? You got it.
I'm gone.
What is it now?
Oh!
What you want?
Oh!
You have need of me?
Yep. I'm gone.
Tell me. Go, go, go!
You are so as directed for now.
Redirect.
You've a task?
Strange, I do not feel.
It was at this point of my journey that I ventured north and came across an archaeological dig site. The leader of the excavation reassured me that they were up to only legitimate archaeological concerns and they were not tomb robbers, and they hoped that any sort of relics that they found they'd be able to donate to a museum.
Nothing for you here.
Yes?
So they push through to the inner sanctum, and we arrive at this point where just before you get the idol and you're supposed to kill everyone, a strange apparition takes control of the entire all of the guards, and then they turn and attack you. So you didn't actually have to betray them in order to do Gaylor's counter offer.
You're a queer fellow.
But when all is said and done, the leader of the excavation is going to be overwhelmed with guilt, and as a result, he's just going to ask you to seal up the tomb and leave the idol behind.
Your worthless lives end here.
Give it to me straight.
And you can do that, but if you want to do Gaylor's counteroffer, then you have to kill Charleston Nib.
Yes?
That causes your reputation to decrease by, I think it's 2 points.
What do you need?
This is the point where you're going to start hearing the good and the neutral characters start complaining about your overall reputation. And then you have this guy come from out of nowhere. His name is a Doomsayer, but Gaylor is also going to turn on you. He's not hard, but the Doomsayer is very hard, and he'll make quick work of your party, especially if they're just low-level characters.
Give it to me straight. I've got this.
I've done had enough of this. What you want? I care not.
Nature serve for the group.
I'll not have a part in this. Change your course, lest I be forced to... No! I can but try. Another friend. Doesn't never end.
Oh! 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 Oh!
So what I did instead is that I chose to help Charleston Nib, and after all of the guards are killed, and we agree to seal up the tomb and not take up Gaylor on his counter proposal. It's just for the greater good, and my party would not be able to withstand a reputation of -4. That would be too much for the good characters and neutral characters in my party, although they might not break until I get to like a -2. I was just going through scenarios on how I could possibly recover the reputation. What sorts of quests would be coming up that I might be able to redeem myself a little bit. But I don't think anything... There was nothing coming to mind. Nothing anytime soon anyway, so... I would be walking around with... a party with half of my characters all complaining about how disliked they are.
Don't worry about me.
Something?
And with that being said, that concludes another zone, and I'm on to the third zone.
I've got this.
And here is where I encounter an ogre. The first ogre in my entire new playthrough with Helena. They have pretty decent amount of hit points for being a low-level enemy. One thing you gotta watch out for is when they hit you. When they actually are able to hit you, they do a lot of damage. They'll take off at least half of your health if they don't just flat out kill you. Here's a situation of a man running across a bridge for his life as he's being pursued by a polar bear. Now, bear in mind that this character looks to be one of those aristocratic types because he's wearing one of those funny-looking shirts with the billowy shoulder, with the billowy shoulders. So, and it just really made me wonder, why in the world is there a polar bear in this part of the world? I mean, it's kind of like right at the edge of the Borean forest. So, you know, it's actually it's too far south for there to be polar bears here. So you go back and you talk to this guy, and then he's just like, oh, well, thanks a lot, thanks for saving me, but you know, that polar bear is worth 900 experience. Well, thanks a lot, but I think that it's likely this character did not tell you that it was his pet, and then so he just kind of gives you 50 gold and he walks away rather quickly, as if that's not suspicious or anything. This is where I find Neville, a bandit, who apparently has a band of hobgoblins that help him to rob people as they try to pass through this part of the woods. He's easily dealt with a color spray, causes them all to lay down, and your warriors can just go ahead and pick them off one at a time. He drops a longsword +1 and a bandit scalp. It's not very difficult at all. He also drops chainmail that can be used by Jahira, which will drop her armor class quite a bit.
You're a queer fellow.
Again.
This was the most difficult part of the zone. Getting across this bridge with an ogre and 3 hobgoblins. This isn't your typical ogre, though. He's an ogre berserker. So I had Edwin go down there and use color spray on the hobgoblins, but only one was affected. And then here comes the second ogre berserker. Well, my warriors are able to go around him and then kill the hobgoblins that are on the bridge. So that just left the issue of the ogre. So running back across the bridge with my my character, my warrior, and seeing that she is poisoned. So time is certainly of the essence here, and I use Jahira to cast a healing spell on Helena that helps to keep her alive just a little bit longer as we deal with the ogre berserker. And now that he's dead, well, gotta hopefully keep her alive long enough so that she can outweight the poison effects, because I don't have an antidote for her. So I'm just standing here and I'm just taking every tick, 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 and there it fades. As I'm adventuring along, I come across an ogre who's sitting next to a fire. And if you look at the fire, it's kind of peculiar because there's actually a human body inside the fire. And he says that after he eats, then we can fight. But I decided to just go ahead and take the initiative and attack him right now.
I mean, it's an ogre, and he's worth, I don't know, I think at least 650, no, 270 experience for the regular ogre, but 650 for the ogre berserker. And this is a paladin named Laurel, who asked for your help to fend off a herd of gibberlings coming at her. And you can actually help defend her, and she will reward you for it. Or you can also kill her in the midst of the battle and make it seem like, well, it was the gibberlings that did it to her.
What do you need?
I decided that I was just going to take the experience and let her go. In the playthrough where I actually let her die just to see what she drops a couple of spells and a full plate mail. I could probably use that full plate mail, but truth is that I'm already bankrolling at 3,200 gold, and I'm only just about on the verge of level 3. So, you know, I could go to Beregost and hit up the smithy and buy my own full plate mail. And the truth is that it's not going to last that long. I'm going to be upgrading beyond that in relatively short amount of time. So I decided to let the priest go with all of her stuff, and she said that perhaps we're going to meet again. And, you know, so I just felt like it was it was a better thing for me. As a lawful evil character, it would be better for me to let her go rather than to kill her, because she might benefit me in a bigger way eventually. So after killing that ogre, I think 2 of my party members gained a level. So that's always a welcome sight.
You are so irritating.
As far as my main character is going, I want her to be a Grandmaster in katanas, because that's a 1d10 sword, and it's faster than your two-handed sword. I also want her to be able to use one sword in each hand. So even if it was just a katana plus one, she's going to be like she's just going to be a wrecker. She's going to go through parties like a blender, just tearing things up. And here's another ogre. This one's an ogre berserker, so worth even more experience.
I'm getting weaker. I'll do my best. What? My actions are
Gotta run call it away because he's just about dead. And yep, he's worth 650, and he drops that neck piece. And I think that was I don't think it was the string of pearls. Those are worth 1,000 gold, so they are very valuable. This is when Edwin gives me an ultimatum, and he says that he basically warns me, if we don't go to the Gnoll Stronghold and kill Dynaheir for him, that he's going to sever his ties with us, with my party. But what option do I have but to take him at his word? But the thing is that I already know how this is going to play out. And even though they give you an ultimatum, they still give you about 24 to 48 hours, both him and Minsc would, before they actually turn and attack you. So here I am. I'm at the starting point for the Gnoll Stronghold, and when I get to the other side of the bridge, it's a couple of Ogrelons. They demand money to let you pass, but the truth is that you don't have to pay them. You can just attack them, and they're actually very easy to kill.
Can I help you?
They drop those bracers, and the amazing thing about those bracers is that they'll give anybody who equips them an 18 dexterity. So that's going to help a warrior immensely. So at this point, I'm now entering the Gnoll Stronghold main gate, and this is actually a very good place to gain levels and experience as well, because these gnolls give about twice as much experience as the Xvarts did, 65 compared to 35 when you were brand new and into the area. They also drop the same thing that Tazlois drop, which is gold, jewels, as well as random token scrolls here and there. As we progress up these stairs, you're going to see that there's plenty of Gnoll elites, and as well as Xvarts. I'm just going to make a beeline straight for Dynaheir so that we can do what we can uphold Edwin's uphold our end of the bargain for Edwin and explore those options and the dialogue that pertains to that.
Really not in this. You are as directed for now.
I'm gone.
What if I must?
You're a queer. I've done had enough of this.
Oh!
Again, as directed for now.
Give it to me straight. I've got.
So this is the heart of the Gnoll Stronghold, and we see that they have this giant pit here. It's got like a plank that's hanging over the bottom side, and then there's like these logs that have been pounded into the ground that act as a staircase. Well, the bad part about this particular skirmish is that there's this very narrow opening there that enemies and well, for characters to pass through. So the way that I dealt with it was that I just had my characters pull back out of that choke point and then go for the gnolls as they could. The problem was that my characters were not able to actually make contact with the Gnoll elites, but the Gnoll elites could hit my characters because they're using halberds. So technically, when you're using a two-handed weapon, you can reach over, as a melee character, you can reach over characters that are using one-handed weapons, such as long swords or short swords and a shield. You can reach over them and then hit the enemies that are directly in front of your sword and shield warriors. So I'm over here and finishing up with the Gnoll elite enemies, and this is the pit where Dynaheir is located.
Thy decency is refreshing. So many we meet are lacking.
So I rather like Dynaheir as a mage, and as far as mages are concerned, there's really not that many options. You have Dynaheir, who is like a lawful good mage, and then you have Edwin, who is a neutral evil mage. And then you have Zan, who is a true neutral or a lawful neutral mage, but he has a rather depressing personality. And then you also have Nira, who is I think she's a chaotic good, but she is her spell casting is terrible until you can fix it. So after pleasing Edwin, and you can see that he has something mentally about him, where he's like he's talking to himself, he's conspiring with himself and making sure that everything sounds good, and he says that he's willing to submit his services to you for 1 year, as if that's a really good deal, you know. But considering just how awful this person's personality is, I would rather just him to give me the gold. And then so he gives me 500 gold for killing Dina. And his whole motivation was purely prestige. He believed that by killing Dina, he was going to become famous, he was going to become an even better and more popular mage, having accomplished this goal of his. But it ultimately looks like he was disappointed, because she was an actually really easy opponent for us to defeat, and then so he goes his way, and I'm just a 5-man party at this point until I go back to Nashkel and I pick up Zan.
Yep, I'm gone.
So after tromping around this zone and killing many gnolls and many Xvarts and looking into caves, but finding nothing, no items of real value or importance, I decided it's time to head back to Nashkel. And on the way there, I am waylaid by a winter wolf.
You want it?
So I'm just like wondering, what in the world's going on here? Oh, hey, it's just a single winter wolf. Well, okay, so I'll just go over there and I'll attack it. Thankfully, it doesn't use its ability, which is like a frost breath or something like that, and do a lot of damage to my party and possibly kill us. It dropped. It gave me 975 experience. Plus, it also dropped a pelt, and that's going to be worth 500 gold back at the vendor in Nashkel. So, happy day.
We shall hold here. You look tired.
Here I am crossing the bridge, and there's where Zan is. Just right where I left him. I decide I'm not going to pick him up just yet. I have another plan, and that's to get over to the Nashkel Carnival so that I can pick up a priest who is actually a very good priest. But on the way, I incidentally walk into Minsc. So he, of course, offers to join my party so we can go save his witch, Dynaheir, but I unfortunately had to deliver the news that she was now deceased. And this angered him, so caused him to attack my party, but he was no match for Dorn's strength, and was wound up gibbed as a result.
Might have a better look at you. Go for the ice pool. Go.
It's always sad to see a good character, a good and noble character like Minsc, die like that, but this is not the good character only playthrough. This is the lawful evil character playthrough. I mean, is it lawful? Anyway, so yeah, I decided to just go ahead and bring Zan anyway. And I was going to have my new priest replace Jaheira, mostly because I don't like Jaheira's weapon. In the last playthrough where I had her play as a member of my party, she did not have anything stronger available for her for the entire game except for a club +1. And I guess, things wouldn't have been so bad if she could use any other kind of weapon, but it was just not available to her. And being one of my main tanks, I mean, she could hold a shield well, she could deflect damage well, but whenever it came to a one-handed weapon, there just wasn't one available in the game.
What do you need?
Move along.
Don't worry about me.
So I decided to head over to the Nashkel vendor and turn in that pelt for 500 gold.
Don't worry about me.
This is when Dorn wants to talk to me about locating someone that he had previous beef with. Now, the interesting thing about the Dorn storyline is that it's all very personal and it's all about revenge. So the reason why he's in my party, he says, is because he doesn't have the finesse or the gentle touch in order to talk to these NPCs to get them to open up the information. So he wants me to do it, but I guess he doesn't see that I'm actually a half-orc and with a charisma of 8 and an intelligence of 9 as well. So, I'm not very charismatic or fun and interesting person to talk to, but oh well, it's just all part of the script. So, and I'll wind up talking to her, but she just winds up saying the same thing. So, unfortunately, if you talk to her before Dorn talks to you about talking to her, then the journal entry isn't going to show that you actually progressed or that Dorn has actually acknowledged that you've talked to her. So, that part in the quest text is going to be stuck there, and it's not going to show that you've actually completed it. So, don't talk to Terrace until Dorn talks to you first. So here's Rasad, and I'm actually thinking about having him join with me because there's an achievement you can get where you have Dorn, Nira, and Rasad all in your party at the same time. I believe that the reason why this is significant is because all 3 of these characters were added during the Sword Coast expansion, and that was like 20 years ago. So here I am. I'm actually clearing Jaheira's stuff out as well as Khalid's stuff. All the good stuff. He can have the splint mail, for instance. I don't care about that. But when I let him go, he's going to take everything that he has equipped with him. And same with Jaheira. So if Khalid goes, then Jaheira's going to go too. So now I'm back to a party of 5. And I'd say that this party is pretty solid. You got Rasad over there. You have to watch out for him because he is going to constantly run into battle like a nitwit. But once he gets the right gear, he can actually turn out to be a very valuable member of the team because the way that he works is almost like a thief that can hide in the shadows and then appear behind enemies in order to do amazing backstab damage with like a 3 or 4 times multiplier. Although since his weapon of choice is a katana blade, I'm going to be having him use a wakizashi in the meantime, and until I have katanas for him. And I think he can also two one hand. No, he can only use single weapon, one weapon at a time. So.
I am prepared. I look forward to your instruction.
Give it to me straight.
Now comes the task of outfitting him or loading him out. So I gave him the Gauntlets of Dexterity +2, and that changes his armor class to 2 from 4. As somebody who's going to be rushing into battle all the time, he's going to need an armor class of like 0 or lower, because he can't use shields and he can't use armor. So, but he can use magical items. And so that's the quixotic thing of Rasad. So as you can see here, when Rasad is looking at the vendor's inventory, there's very little that he can use. It's all red. He can't even use leather armor. So after spending some small minutes at the vendor and getting Rasad some gear, I headed back over to the Nashkel Carnival and spoke with the NPC called Zeke, where he sells me a stone to flesh spell for scroll for 500 gold. And I'm glad that I brought Zan, because I think he was the only one who could use that scroll, since he was a caster. There was no other casters in my party. So then there I freed the priest. Her name is Branwen, and she offers to serve me with her life as a result of being turned to stone by that loser Tranzig, who's going to an NPC that we're going to come across later on, or here rather shortly.
I've got this.
Once I'm inside Beregost, I just go ahead and head over to the Jovial Juggler, where I meet Officer Vi. And she informs me that she's willing to pay 50 gold per bandit scalp that I bring her. It's important to talk to her as soon as you can so that you can go ahead and start bankrolling. After that, I head out, and I'm heading over to the Thunderhammer, who is the village blacksmith, and I run into Elminster. There's the fuzzy old man who I met back at, I think it was just after the prologue, when I was heading up to the Friendly Arm Inn to meet with Khalid and Jaheira. And he's just interviewing me, he's telling me some things, and he's asking me these ethical questions, and then he continually walks away. He doesn't really play that much of a role in the mid or to the late game, but in the early part of the game he does make a few appearances. So now I head into Thundersmithy. I believe that's the name he goes by, and talk to him about the Nashkel mines and the mysterious liquid, and I also want to take a look at his wares. So This is if I ever need any sort of equipment, this is the go-to guy for sure. So she needs equipment. She needs a bunch of stuff. A warhammer, armor, shield, everything.
Give it to me straight. I've got this. You want it? You got it.
Ooh, you smell.
So something that Rasad likes to do is he likes to treat you to his past, and he has a sad story being an orphan and all, him and his brother, and then being taken into the Sun Soul monk sect, where they taught him how to fight, and then also gave him his ethical values and everything. So it's he does mention one NPC by the name of Alagorth. I wonder if whether or not that is if there's an opportunity in game to actually deal with his storyline, or to come across Alagorth. So I decided to head back to the Friendly Arm Inn so I could pick up Nira. She has an interesting storyline an interesting narrative that I want to explore. So I'm going to be leaving Zan behind, and he's my old reliable. Anytime that I need a mage, I can always find him exactly at the place where I left him behind the last time. So at this point, I'm pleased with my party composition. I have Nira for a mage, Branwen for a priest, Rasad for a damage dealer, Dorn for damage, and Imoen is my thief, and then I'm a warrior as well. So, considering that I've spent so much gold on outfitting my characters, and I'm just looking for some fast money at this point. So I come across this NPC called Garrick, who is offering 300 gold if I do his consort or his client a favor, which is basically to beat up some thugs who are harassing her. So I agree. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. But the thing is that I gave my word, you know, and as a lawful evil character, if you give your word to anybody, it's going to require basically an act of law in order for you to break your word. So no matter what sort of details or clues might come about during this sort of interaction, I gave my word that I would protect her for 300 gold, and so that's exactly what happens. But she actually... it's actually disclosed that it appears that there is something more to this transaction than what she told me, and as a result, it looks like the deal might be a little sideways. So this is like the nature of evil people. They always want you to just take them at their word rather than doing any sort of fact-finding or truth checking, and, you know, just do as you're told. So as an evil character, of course, I just do as I'm told. And Garrick wasn't even aware that she was going to do this to me. So, and then I think that I didn't lose any reputation for it. Oh, I did. I lost 2 reputation for it. So, wondering what my reputation is right now. I think it might be a 6.
Yes, sir.
And then Garrick says, I'm no better than Silke. But respectively, he decided to call her Miss Silke. I was actually under the impression that she was a thief. But she's just this one-off NPC who gives you this opportunity to make 300 gold at the expense of 2 reputation. Checking my reputation, I'm at 8 dislikes.
Give it to me straight. What do you need?
So that's as low as I want to go.
Hello?
The happy medium for me in this playthrough is 8 to 12. And that'll keep everybody, that'll keep my party together. I mean, I could go as low as, like, say, I think 2 or 3 before my good characters all just flat out leave me.
Got it.
And what was even stranger about that episode was that she let me keep all the jewels. I thought the idea was that she was going to have me kill those people so she could get the jewels. But nope. And then she even paid me 300 gold for it. And I got to keep the jewels. So I don't know. I don't understand. Now I'm heading over here to Feldy Post Inn because I want to see what gear that the vendor has for sale. And when I walk inside, oh look, here's this fellow named Marl. I guess he's a barfly or something. And he's giving me a lot of attitude.
I've got this.
Are you talking to me? Are you talking to me?
So I decided to just go ahead and teach him a lesson. But unfortunately, it was along the lines of killing him, and I didn't mean to do that. But at least I didn't lose any reputation for it. And I even gained 650 experience. So in the end, it was actually not such a bad deal.
I will show you justice.
Hey, don't
And then he
trick
says,
me.
oh, the Flaming
I don't
Fists are
want
going
any
to deal with
trouble.
me. Uh-oh. Where are they? I was waiting for them to show up, but they didn't. So I walk outside, and I was expecting them to
You
walk
want
up to
it?
me, but
You got it.
they didn't. So I just walked back inside
Don't worry
and
about me.
talked to the
Hey,
guy
don't
again.
trick me.
Same
I
message.
don't want any trouble.
But no Flaming Fist.
Direct.
If they did show up, then I'd
Don't
have to
worry about
reload
me.
because killing a Flaming Fist is going to decrease your reputation very quickly. And I go upstairs because this is where Tranzig is at. Branwen. I have
You want
a
it? You got it.
interest, and so does Branwen. So we're going to see about Tranzig. And here he is. This mage
Seems
fellow.
to me like these men want a little trouble. I'll give them trouble.
Tranzig was the one who turned her into stone.
This will not be a
And now,
death.
killing him.
What do you need?
Tranzig's not afraid of
So
trouble,
he begs for his life, but Branwen says that there should be no mercy. I mean, he did turn her into stone. So, I mean, it might be better than death to be turned into stone, but still, I mean, unless if someone were to come along and use a stone to flesh scroll on you, then you'll just be stuck in that state forever. Basically dead.
Tell me, you want it? You got it.
This is a part where I come across an NPC called Kivan, and he would just like to join me to go around and kill bandits, just like Ajantis. So I was thinking about when I redo the good characters only playthrough, that I could have Kivan instead of Minsc, and then that way I wouldn't have Minsc constantly shouting silly stuff all the time. I would have the more cooler and docile Kivan instead, because Kivan and Minsc are both rangers. So, and the thing about rangers is that they actually make pretty good sword arms. They're like masters of all, right? But they're mostly all about bow and arrow, ranged attacks. That's the ranger forte, strength.
What do you want?
So checking out Kivan, I see that he has a halberd +2 and longbow +2. his main issue that I have is with his 2 weapon style. Why in the world does he have 2 weapon style, 2 proficiency points in 2 weapon style rather than 2-handed style or 2-handed weapon style? And so I think that might have been a gaffe, right? Whoever created Kivan and put him in the game must not have taken that into consideration, because that puts him on 2 different paths at the same time. You know, if you wanted to maximize the proficiencies that you put into your 2-handed weapons, then you needed to have 2-handed weapon style. But maybe for whatever reason, according to the Dungeons and Dragons rule book, that it might show Rangers are not capable of having any proficiency points in 2-handed weapons. So, you know, I mean, it could happen. It might be there. So there's Kivan. He was a chaotic good ranger, and you might consider taking him along instead of Minsc.
I've got this.
So here I am. I'm over by High Hedge, and this place is really important for if you want to gear up your mages. So I'm just making my way through the zone, and something you have to take into consideration as you progress through the zone is that there is a lot of undead forces, skeletons that are going to throw throwing knives at you. They're going to drop skulls and shields and stuff like that. So at this point I realized that Imoen gained a level. So as a human, she has the option to dual class, and I decided to go ahead and try that just to see how it would work out. I remember in the Siege of Dragonspear playthrough that Imoen was actually a mage. She might have been still a mage thief, but she was never a character who could actually join your party. So I see here that she's allowed to be dual classed as a mage only. And I thought that was disappointing, but I couldn't really figure out what else I would want her to dual class as. So, I just went with mage. And the way that dual classing works is that first you are going to be playing as a mage. That means that any sort of abilities or traits that you had as a thief are not going to be applying. And on top of the fact, whenever you gain a level, for at least until the level that you are gaining, the level of your dual class reaches the level of your main class, then you're going to start gaining levels in your original class. But until then, you're just going to be gaining levels in your dual class. So that means I'm going to be gaining levels as a mage for at least 2 levels, and then once that one reaches level 3, which is the same level as my thief, then I'm going to start gaining levels in both as a mage and a thief at the same time. So I just wanted to see how this would play out. It looks like it could be fun. And already looking at her health pool, she's got 24, and Nira, who is my natural born mage, has only 4 hit points. So I think that's really cool. That's a really sturdy mage if you have 24 hit points at just level 3 or level 1, depending on how you look at it. So I just want her to focus on ranged weapons. I always want my mages to be ranged only, because it keeps them out of combat, out of melee combat, and getting killed right away.
Don't worry about me.
This is the wizard Thalantir, who has some really interesting items for sale. He's also has a lot of scrolls, so if you have the gold, have your mages to stock up on spells that they don't have yet. I would recommend one spell in particular is Haste. If you get that spell, then you can go through any zone, any new zone that you are in at twice the speed, and you'll just be able to fly through anywhere, do your exploring a lot faster. but as you can see here, the stuff that he has for sale is it's all magic and or mage related gear. It's not stuff that any other class is actually going to need or use. I think haste is a level 1. I think it's a level 2 spell, but it might be a level 3. So you might have to wait a bit before you can actually buy haste. But when you can, I highly recommend it. So in all, I've spent quite a lot of time here in the High Hedge zone. There's just a lot of monsters that are roaming around out here. The undead skeleton hordes are one, and then you have the Gnoll elites. I think there's a spider around here too somewhere. So,
I've got this.
And then there's also that cabin over there. I think that's actually Thalantir's house. It has a locked chest in it, so once you learn the knock spell, then you'll be able to just open it up without any issues. So here I am in a new zone. I decided to head south from High Hedge and into this one. As you can see, I arrived on the northern point location of the zone, and I'm just going to start clearing.
Tell me. Don't worry about me.
So this is the point when I come across the Bassilus, the cleric that has gone mad, and he has resurrected a bunch of undead creatures, and he refers to them as family members, or has given some of them the names of family.
Oh, Brother Therm, why not grace our ears with a ripping tale of the old days? Always a delight.
So the best thing to do when you encounter Bassilus is to try to convince him that you are his family. He's going to mistaken that you are his mother, and you can try to play along with that. So, but eventually he's going to realize that you are not, and will attack you. But if you go with the options 3, 2, 2, it is by far the easiest way to handle this situation. So now, one thing you have to watch out for when you engage him in combat, his most deadliest attack is the hold spell. So whenever he's casting like that, you can't interrupt it by throwing ranged weapons at him. He doesn't seem to respond to that. But the best thing you can do is just spread your characters around him, and as he's casting hold, if he successfully gets a hold cast off, then it won't affect so many characters at one time. It will just only attack. It will only affect one character or 2 characters, but you won't lose your entire party to one hold spell. So here's a curious case of a talking chicken, but there's nothing really all that special about this quest. You just have to turn the chicken in at Thalantir over in High Hedge, and I think there's a chance that he might be successfully resurrected, but all in all, there really isn't any sort of notable thing that happens in as a result of this quest. It's just a whimsical kind of little story that you can enjoy. So I've returned back to Beregost Temple to turn in for the Bassilus quest, and the reward is substantial.
Welcome. The traveling adventurer is never turned away from a house of Lothander.
He gives me 1,000 experience and 5,000 gold.
And super important.
Oh, I think I just want to point out that at the temple, if you ever need, if you're seriously in need of reputation, you can always go to the temple and donate gold. And donating gold is going to help keep your party from completely falling apart after you've lowered your reputation to the point of like where everybody's complaining all the time. So as I'm bringing this video to a close, I was just going to throw in this little dialogue with this swindling character, a halfling named Furret, who wants to sell me a magical gem for 1,000 gold, I think it was. Yeah, 1,000 gold. And but of course it's just a ripoff.